Hola clase, hoy vamos a tomar apuntes sobre el presente perfecto. Apuntes del presente perfecto. En inglés se llama present perfect. So what is the present perfect? When do we use it? Why would we use it? So a little crash course from English. The present perfect is a compound verb tense. That means that you need two verbs to form it, unlike the present tense or the preterite tense or the imperfect, which is just one verb. So the two verbs in English that we use is we use the verb to have, and then we use the past participle, and that forms the present perfect. The verb to have is going to be conjugated in the present tense, like I have, you have, we have. And then the past participle is done by using the participle of the verb. Normally, if it's regular, that's adding an ed to it. Like, I have walked 5 miles today. Have walked. I have, which is my helping verb, and walked, which is my past participle. We use the present perfect to talk about things that have happened in the past. And we use them a lot when we talk about movies, like have you seen, have you visited, when we talk about traveling, have you been somewhere. So we're going to learn to do that today in order to talk about film. So, otra vez, apuntes el presente perfecto. Ahora, en inglés, let's talk about English again. Remember that I use the verb to have conjugated in the present tense plus the past participle, which in English is usually the ed added onto the word. So this is my English review. So I use to have in the present tense, I have, you have, he has, plus my past participle like walked, talked, skipped, jumped, to form the present perfect. Okay, so eso es el inglés. Ahora vamos con el español. Now, to have in Spanish is the verb tener, but I don't use tener here because tener is not a helping verb. Tener means to have, but it is only used when I'm talking about possession, years, expressions like to have thirst, to have hunger. So I'm not going to use it here. Here, my helping verb is the verb haber. So haber, H-A-B-E-R, el verbo haber. And I'm going to conjugate the verb haber in the present tense. Es un verbo irregular. It's an irregular verb. So I'm going to draw out my T-chart. Remember, haber is a helping verb. And in this case, it means have, has, or have. So I've drawn a couple of things. I've drawn my T-chart. I've drawn that haber means has or have, and that it equals a helping verb. Okay, so I'm going to conjugate this verb in the present tense. So to say I have, it's going to be a, H-E, a. You have is going to be us. Now remember, as you pronounce these things, the H is silent. So a, us, el, ella, usted, he, she, it, has is going to be a. Nosotros, hemos. I'm just going to go ahead and keep going. Vosotros habéis, con acento, y ellos han. So here we have the full verb. Has, a, hemos, habéis, han. Make sure you copy all of it. If you need to pause, feel free to do so. Okay, this verb is going to conjugate to match the person that has done the action. So if I have seen the movie, yo he. If we have seen the movie, nosotros hemos. It matches the person. The past participle is formed in Spanish by dropping the AR, the ER, or the IR. So I'm going to take my verb and my first step is to drop the AR, the ER, or the IR. So to form the past participle, my first step is to drop the AR, the ER, or the IR. And my second step If it's AR, I'm going to add ado. And if it's ER or IR, I'm going to add ido. So if it's AR, I add ado. And if it's ER, IR, I add ido. So let's do a couple of examples. Let's do hablar. Like I have spoken to the principal. Hablar, I drop the AR. I add ado, so it gives me hablado. Now, hablado by itself doesn't mean anything. Remember that I'm going to have to use a form of haber to show who did the speaking. So, he hablado would mean I have spoken. Or I have talked. Bien? So, I have spoken. It's going to be he hablado. I have spoken, he hablado. Let's do an ER-IR verb. Let's do the verb comer. So my verb is comer, to eat. I drop the ER. It's an ER verb, so I'm going to add ido. So comer becomes comido. Again, comido by itself isn't helpful. I need that helping verb, haber, to have a complete idea. So you have eaten at the restaurant Viva Chicken would be has comido en el restaurante de Viva Chicken. Now I have a complete idea. Has comido en el restaurante de Viva Chicken. You have eaten at the Viva Chicken restaurant. Okay. Now, as always, there are some exceptions to this rule. Haber, there's no exception to haber. Has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. So let's talk about a couple exceptions to my past participle. There are some past participles that require an accent. They are the same as the verbs that have the Y in the preterite. That means that they can only be ER or IR verbs that when I drop the ER or IR, it ends in a vowel. So let's write down those rules first. So they can only be IR or ER verbs, and when I drop the ER or the IR, I'm left with a vowel. For example, the verb caer or the verb oír. So let's do those verbs. If I want to say I have heard, my verb oír, when I drop that IR, I'm left with the vowel O. That means when I add ido back, I've created a diphthong. I don't want a diphthong. I want to break it. I don't want to say odo. I want to say oído. So I need to accent that I to make it strong. So my past participle for oír is going to be oído with an accent on that I. Let's do the verb leer. So the same thing happens with leer. When I drop that ER, I'm left with an E. If I add ido next to that E, it's going to be leido. I don't want to say leido. I want to say leido. So again, I have to break the diphthong by accenting that I. So I have oído y leído. Bien? Okay, una cosa más, one more. And you have a list of these already, but we're going to make another one. We have some that are irregular. So these are irregular past participles. We have them in English as well. For example, spoken is an irregular past participle because it should be I drop the ending and I add ed, like talked, jumped, skipped. But we have some irregular past participles like spoken. I don't say I have eated. I say I've eaten. So there are a couple of others that are irregular in English. So let's do a list of them in Spanish, just so that you have all of your information in one spot. So we're going to start off with the verb hacer. To say that I have done something, hacer becomes hecho. Again, hecho by itself isn't helpful. I would have to have the verb haber in front of it. So he hecho, has hecho, hemos hecho. El verbo romper becomes roto. That one's actually irregular in English too because I don't say broke, I say broken. So I've broken, I've made. Okay, el verbo volver. Volver significa to return. If you don't know the meaning, make sure you're writing it down. And volver becomes vuelto. Nosotros hemos vuelto a la escuela. We have returned to school. Devolver means to return something, like a book to the library or a DVD to the red box, and it becomes devuelto. So devolver becomes devuelto. Decir becomes dicho, said or told. Let's see, escribir becomes escrito. Escrito. Poner becomes puesto. Puesto. Ver becomes visto. And the last one we're going to do is morir. And morir, to die, becomes muerto. Muerto. So those are my irregular past participles. So let's say that I have broken the glass that my mother gave me. If I have broken the glass that my mother gave me, yo he roto el vaso de mi madre. He roto. Again, I have to have both haber and my past participle in order to form the present perfect because it is a complex verb tense, which means it requires two verbs. Thank you.